Think back to when you were a kid. One summer felt like it lasted forever. June to August just went on, and you basically came out the other side a slightly different person. And now, whole months disappear. A year goes by, and you're left wondering where it even went. But nothing about time actually changed. A day is still a day. A year is still a year. So why does it all feel faster? The answer is that time isn't speeding up. You're the one that's changing. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly why it happens, and the one simple thing that actually slows it back down. And you can start tonight. You know that moment in December when everyone says the same thing. Where did this year go? It feels like it just started. You said it last year. You'll say it again this year. But here's the strange part. Nobody said that when you were 10. Back then, a year actually felt like a year. Somewhere between then and now, something changed. And it wasn't the calendar. So what did change? The oldest explanation goes back to a French thinker named Pierre Janet in 1877. Think about it like this. For a 5-year-old, 1 year is 20% of their entire life. For a 50-year-old, it's 2%. Same year. But one of them is living through a massive piece of their existence, and the other is living through a tiny one. So the theory says each new year feels smaller because it keeps shrinking compared to everything behind it. It sounds right, but it's probably not what's actually going on, because it assumes your brain is constantly comparing this year to your whole life, like it's running a maths problem in the background. And that is just not how being alive feels. Nobody experiences time as a fraction. So if it's not that, then what is it? This is where it flips. It's not about how long time is, it's about how much of it your brain actually keeps. Here's the key idea, and once it clicks, you can't unsee it. Ask yourself, when does a year actually feel short? Not while you're living it. A boring afternoon still drags, a slow queue still crawls. The year only feels short when you look back at it. So the speeding up isn't happening in the moment, it's happening in your memory. And that changes everything. Because your brain doesn't measure a past year with a clock. It measures it by how many new memories it saved during that time. Save a lot, and that stretch feels long when you look back. Save almost nothing, and it shrinks down to nothing. Now think about being a kid. When you're little, everything is new. First day of school, first time on a bike, first time in the ocean, first friend, first time you're properly embarrassed. Your brain is recording constantly because nothing is familiar yet. Every single day gets saved in full detail. So when you look back on a childhood summer, it feels enormous because it kind of was. Your brain actually saved all of it. And then you grow up. And here's the twist nobody warns you about. The better you get at life, the faster it disappears. Think about what adult life becomes. Same alarm, same drive to work, same desk, same faces, same lunch, same scroll through the same apps. And your brain has one main goal, which is to save energy. So it keeps asking itself one quiet question. Have I seen this before? And if the answer is yes, it doesn't bother saving it. Why waste effort recording a Tuesday it could predict in its sleep? So it cuts corners. It takes whole weeks of the same old thing and files them under one label. Same as usual. And when you try to remember that time later, there's almost nothing there. Your brain got through those days efficiently by simply not recording them. That's why a whole year can just vanish. Not because it was short. You lived all 365 days, but your brain was on autopilot and it only kept a handful of them. So, in your memory, that year has no length to it. You didn't lose the time, your brain just never wrote it down. For a long time, this was just a clever theory, a story that made sense, but nobody could prove. And then, in 2025, a team of scientists actually caught it happening inside a living brain. They got 577 people over in Britain, every age from 18 all the way up to 88. And put each one inside a brain scanner. Then they had every single person watch the exact same thing, an 8-minute clip from an old Alfred Hitchcock show, an episode with the wonderfully creepy title, Bang, You're Dead. Same film, every age, brains being recorded the whole time. Now here's what they were watching for. As your brain takes in the world, it is quietly making these little cuts. Tiny moments where it decides something new is happening now, and starts a fresh scene, kind of like a film editor cutting between shots. Every time your brain notices a new moment, it makes a cut. More cuts means more separate moments. Fewer cuts means fewer. And here's the result. And honestly, this is the whole video in one finding. The younger brains were making cuts constantly, chopping those 8 minutes into loads of little separate moments. The older brains just sat there longer, making far fewer cuts. Same 8 minutes, same clip. But the older brain broke it into fewer pieces. Just sit with that for a second. The young brain experienced that clip as a ton of moments. The old brain experienced it as just a few. And fewer moments saved means a shorter memory of that time. And they didn't just guess at this. They watched it happen on a screen. The film of your life keeps playing at the same speed. But as you get older, the cuts get further and further apart. Fewer moments, fewer memories. Until one day you look up and realize you have been watching your own life on fast forward. But why does the older brain make fewer cuts? Two things are going on, and the second one is the part you can actually do something about. First, the brain's wiring slows down as you age. Signals travel across older, more worn pathways, so the brain can't grab snapshots as fast as it used to. A kid's brain runs at a high frame rate, so every moment feels rich and stretched out, almost like slow motion. An older brain grabs fewer snapshots, so the world blurs past faster. Second, the older brain gets worse at separating one moment from the next. In a young brain, each moment stands out sharp and distinct, so it's easy to mark where one ends and the next begins. In an older brain, those edges soften, and moments that should be separate start to run together into one. Slower wiring, blurred edges, both mean fewer cuts. Now, the wiring part you can't really change. That side of it comes with age, but that's not the whole story. A lot of why older brains make fewer cuts isn't only the wiring, it's the routine. And routine is something you can actually control. So if time speeds up because of routine, then you can slow it back down. Not by adding hours to your day, by giving your brain a reason to start cutting again. And the tool for that is novelty. New experiences, anything new or unfamiliar or a little surprising, pulls your brain out of autopilot and switches recording back on. And recording is what makes time feel long and full when you look back. You've already felt this work, by the way. 1 week somewhere new feels longer in your memory than 2 months of normal life. Because while you were there, every street, every meal, every face was new. Your brain was cutting non-stop, packing a huge number of memories into a tiny window. That's why holidays fly by while you're on them, but feel massive when you look back. And this isn't just a feel-good idea. The scientists behind that 2025 study said it themselves. Learning new things, traveling and trying new activities can make time feel fuller when you look back. The people who ran the experiment are handing you the fix. So do it on purpose. Take a different route home. Learn the thing you keep putting off. Say yes to something that scares you a little. Meet new people. Put yourself in front of things your brain can't file under same as usual. Every time you do, you force a fresh cut, a moment your brain has to keep. And every moment it keeps adds a little length back to your life. So we're back where we started, but you see it differently now. Time isn't something that just happens to you. It's something your brain builds, cut by cut, out of whatever you pay attention to. The clock is fixed. How much of your life you get to keep is not. So the real question was never why time speeds up as you get older. It's this. How many days of this year will actually be worth remembering? And what are you going to do differently, starting tomorrow, to give your brain a reason to keep recording? Because the clock was never your enemy. Autopilot is.